If you could give anyone one piece of advice, what would you say?
I chose not to have kids. I chose not to get married. And I'm not the same person because of it.
Do you regret that?
No, not at all. Everybody says that there's no guidebook to life, and it's not true. All you have to do is talk to every old person ever. If I was drinking, I think it would be more fun short term, but then I would be dead.
When you put it that way, yeah.
And that became the real secret to life, which is...
Today I'm in Toronto, Canada, interviewing 52-year-old George Stroumboulopoulos, one of the most interesting people I've ever met, who seems to have figured out the secrets to a very happy life. George is a Canadian media personality, one of the original influencers of our time who got started on Much Media. His career path since then has been nothing short of different from the traditional path. George does what he wants, when he wants, and everybody seems to love him. Today with questions unlike any interview he's ever done, and he's done a lot. I'm sharing the extended conversation of some of his greatest life lessons and experiences that I think will change the way you go about life. How old are you?
52. Can't believe it. I can't believe that happened.
What does it feel like to be 52?
Doesn't feel like anything. It feels the same as I felt when I was 18. Life to me is about how close to the real you are you living. And I have the same energy level now that I had then. I have the same ferocity now that I had then. I have the same desires.
Would you say most people who are around your age feel that way?
No, I think a lot of people panic when they get older. I think a lot of people live a version of their life, and I don't. I live my life. And I think when you live a version of your life, you can see opportunities slipping away. You can see things change. You don't know how to adapt to it because you're separate from it. There are a lot of bad actors and outside forces trying to make sure we're not nearly as connected to the real world as possible. I think there's this idea that if life doesn't turn out the way you wanted it, that it's a mistake. You weren't qualified to decide what you wanted in the first place. Like, we make decisions when we're 13 and 16 years old about, here's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Think of how much has changed in that time. Like, how are we don't know what's happening. You know, we're qualified to exert as much control as we can, but we can't change a lot of things that happen out there. So I heard a line, somebody said that who you are versus who you want to be, however big that gulf is, that'll be the size of your unhappiness. And I live by that. I want the size of my unhappiness to be much smaller.
You say a lot of people live a version of their life. What do you mean by that?
I think people buy into narratives. Sometimes they play a role in writing them. Sometimes the narrative are written for them. And I find that to be very limiting because your body changes, your brain chemistry changes, your opportunity changes, what happens out there changes, your grief changes. Like, there are a lot of things that change. You have to be able to break your narrative if it's not good for you. And I think if you're living in your narrative, I think you're living a version of your life.
What is a big failure or a mistake that you experienced at one point in your life that you would say changed the trajectory?
I'm pretty reckless. I made some really stupid health choices. And I had one pretty significant motorcycle accident that rewired my brain. And the mistake I made was I left the emergency room and I went right to work. And I did my show with broken bones and no painkillers. And I did it because I was stupid and thought, I'm not missing a show. And working through that wrecked me. And I'm not the same person because of it. My brain broke, my body broke, and I can still feel the ramifications of. Yeah. So that's a big mistake I made. And that was just dumb guy. You know, I'm going to work through it. Dumb, right? And so I can barely lift my arm now. There's a lot of things I can't do. I focused more on what I was doing and less on my health, and that was a huge mistake.
What is the takeaway there if you're looking back on that?
Everybody says that there's no guidebook to life, and it's not true. There's totally a guidebook to life. All you have to do is talk to every old person ever. They'll pretty much all say the same thing, as long as you have your health. They all say it. Yeah. Like everybody, in every language, everywhere. As long as you have your health. And what do? We spend the first half of our lives making sure that it's an uphill climb the whole way. And my big takeaway is anybody who quits anything and makes their full-time job their health, I think they're winning. I think they're smarter than the rest of us.
Yeah, because a lot of old people say the healthy man wants 1,000 things and the sick man wants one thing.
That's right. That's right.
You want to be healthy.
You want to be healthy. And they tell us that all the time.
Yeah.
But we're too stupid to listen, you know, because we think we're invincible. And maybe that's the joy of the human experience, is you try to extend how long it is you feel invincible. I still kind of do, even though I'm not. I feel all the injuries. I've had 4 crashes and I feel it and all the concussions, but I still feel a little invincible. And maybe that's the delusion that makes this a really human experience. That's life.
You kind of do everything, right? You've been doing everything for a while. Did you ever feel pressure to go down more of a conventional path?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. The moment I started my career, everybody told me I had to do it. I realized that I could do it, but it wouldn't be fun. I always look at who I'm getting advice from, and then I put them through the rigorous testing in my mind of how much do I value their opinion? How much do I think they're winning? Do I think they're happy? And I realized that the opinions that felt more authentic to me were the ones that were trying to, flip it up a little bit.
Right.
I don't want to follow a traditional path because I don't like the music that's on the traditional path. I don't like most of the TV or films that are on the traditional path. I don't read the books that are on the traditional path. So I realized, well, why would I give a about trying to be the thing that I don't even like?
Right.
So I just never wanted to be the thing. Now I learned, if I want to accomplish more freedom in this business, I have to learn how to do the thing. So I started to look at the advice of the more traditional path, and I went, okay, so if this is what you think is important, I will learn it. I will really hone the craft. I never did that at the expense of the stuff that made me me. So when I got hired at different radio stations, I was told by other people who worked there, you can't do this, you have to do that. But the boss never told me that because they knew I could do the basics. So I never skimped on the effort. And then the people who were giving me that advice saw that I was able to take their advice, but never at the expense of my own path. And that became the real secret to life, which is, how do you work with other people? And that's the thing, right? If you work with other people, you have to play the game. And the game isn't bad. It's other people too. Right? So you have to take their needs into consideration. So I've been able to strike a balance pretty strongly in my career. And sometimes I just refuse to, and then I get fired. And that's okay too.
How do you balance that?
I never try to prove anything to anybody. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. Why do you not care? Where does that come from?
I don't know. I think maybe it's because in my family, no one cared what I did for a living. No one ever talked about it. No one asked me what I wanted to do for a living. I come from a family where we don't have careers. We have jobs. I come from a family where what you did for a living had no bearing on what kind of person you were. Like none.
Yeah.
I was raised by a single mother. My mother's whole thing was be humble, live a good life, be kind to people, and go to heaven. I can give her 3 of the 4. I can't give her the last one. So I don't place any value on what I do for a living, if I'm being honest with you. I feel no sense of accomplishment ever. I have no pride in my work. None of that. I never did. I want to do a great job and I want to be the best at a thing, but that's just because if you're going to do it, be like Mike, right? Be the best at the thing. But maybe not growing up feeling the pressure to achieve anything except for be a good person. Well, I think maybe that's probably on a cellular level why I don't feel the need to prove anything. I'm not governed by fear. I don't care if I fail at a thing. It doesn't matter, man. Everything is just ego. In 200 years, 1,000 years, what are they going to find? A wrecked hard drive? So what are we trying to do here?
52 years old. Would you say that you have figured life out?
Kind of, but no, because I don't know what it is. I don't know what this is. It's mental to think that you and me and this table and the space between us and this mic, we're made of the same molecules. So no, I haven't figured that out, right? I don't know what this is,
When you put it that way. Yeah.
But I have figured out what life really is about is understanding that everything matters and nothing matters at the same time. And so how you apply that for yourself is, okay, can I create a space where people feel a little bit better than they did this morning? So that to me is like, that's my assignment. Yeah. So I haven't figured life out, but I figured my assignment out. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the same thing. So to me, what is life? No, I don't know. But what is my assignment? And this is my assignment. And it could change. I don't think it has to be one thing, but it's been this thing for a while and I quite like the thing.
You said you're not living a version of your life. You're living your life.
Yeah, a lot of us, yeah.
And a lot of people are living a version. If I was living a version of my life and I wanted to live more or less my life, what would be your practical advice to do that?
I don't know that there's one piece of advice. I think that I chose not to have kids. I chose not to get married. So I have no obligations in that respect. But I made the choice. So I don't complain about the fact that this is my life. I don't try to fit into another version. So what I did was I looked at the choices I made and I go, okay, I'll make the most of this experience. Like people think, oh, living your real life is chasing your dream. No, you made a choice. Now you have family. Now you have obligations. It's different. You don't get to just go, eat, pray, love and abandon your family. You don't get to do that. You can, but you don't get to. You have an obligation now and you have to own your obligation. And I believe in that.
Do you regret that?
No.
No marriage, no kids.
Oh God, no. Oh no, my God, it's the second best, maybe the best decision ever. I quit drinking 30 years.
What would be the first one?
I quit drinking like 30 years ago. 30 years ago this week, went up the stairs. But thank you. Quitting drinking, I think, is the best decision I ever made in my life. Not having kids is right up there. And also being very conscious about trying to be joyful. That's hard to do every day. That's work. That's like you have to be diligent about that too. Very, very diligent. Your brain doesn't want you. Yeah. Your brain just wants protection. Yeah. I ignore my brain all the time. I live in the places my brain doesn't want me to be. If I was drinking, I think it would be more fun short term. Yeah. But then I would be dead. And so I don't want that either, Although I quit drinking before there were fancy beers and before drinks cost $25. So I see what people have to spend in bars now and I go, this sucks. At the level me and my friends used to drink, we'd have to mortgage a house just to finance our bar bill one night at the prices today. So I don't know how anybody can drink and have fun anymore because it's just the impending doom of the debt, accrued by this, and it shouldn't cost that much, by the way, but they got you addicted and now they jack it. It's like those app driver things.
App driver thing?
They get you with these low rates, and then everything goes up. And now we're all living on a subscription fee and you're spending more money on subscriptions than you ever spent in your life. And we just all let it happen. I mean, what control could we have? It would be easy if we didn't need it, but then they put all the banking online and everything.
We activated something as you hear.
So that all stems from from drinking.
Not too many people in their 50s who chose not to be married.
Yeah.
But for you, can you define the word love?
Am I that rare? Is it that rare to be really? Based on who you've interesting.
Yeah. Definitely not the only one. Like I can probably count like 25, 30 people, but just in percentage wise, yeah.
Wow. What is love? I think love is wildly overrated. We walk around like it's $100 bill when it's really just a loony. So I think love's important, but I think actions are more important. What do you do with that love? I interviewed this great author, Umberto Eco, a great author about Umberto Eco, and I asked him, we talked about love, and he said, love is selfish. Love is selfish. Love is, if I love you, I want just you for me. He goes, hate's generous, right? So to me, love is it's just a word people throw around. I only really care about it if it's married to an action. Are you creating an opportunity or a space or a place for somebody to have a better version of their life? That's love to me.
If I was trying to figure my life out or put it back together, what is a question that you would recommend I ask myself to get a little closer to that?
What do you want? What do you actually want? Write that down. Not every choice you make is going to get you closer to what you want, but like in your journal, take stock of how many choices you're actually making that are getting you closer to what you want. I think it's the hardest question for people to really answer is, what do they want? And then how badly do you want it? That's the crucial thing. Some people don't want to play the system, then don't. I know it's hard. I know it's not just, we'll quit. It's not like that. But you have to be very conscientious of what role do you want to play? I know so many people who are just, I go to work and I come home and I watch TV and I love my partner and I got kids and it's cool and they're happy. They're winning, dude. That's the life because that's what they want. Yeah. They built the life they wanted.
I do have a question from the journal.
All right.
What is a big goal that you set for yourself when you were younger that you never achieved?
I wish I learned more languages. Those are like practical goals, but I wish I did.
Do you wish you journaled ever? Do you ever think about that?
I write shows and movies and scripts, right? So to me, it's more, how can I take these emotional, hormonal things that are firing in my human brain and my gut and all that, and then how can I express it? And to me, expression isn't, this isn't bad. I think this is really great for people. I think I know people who benefit greatly from journaling. But for me, the kind of artist I am, I'm a little bit more abstract in my experience. So I want to just figure out, this is how I'm feeling.
If I'm for reference, I'm 25.
Yeah.
If I wanted to be 52 and satisfied with my life, living my life, not a version of my life, what would be your advice looking back for someone who is at that point and at that stage?
What I would do is take real stock of why you act the way you act. Identify which parts of that you want to change. Identify your grievances and deal with them quickly. Taking your grievances with you can be a nightmare. And so what I did consciously was identify all the things about me I didn't like. So here's who I thought I was. Here's who I actually was. And then you have to make the decision, which one's going to move. Who I thought I was is a better version of who I was. But most people will go like this. And I went, no. I'm going to do the work to move this person to this person. I want to be the guy I think I am, not the guy I actually am. And that's just action. And that's just muscle memory. And that's just craft. I think life's a craft, right?
Do you think does everyone have the potential to be that way?
I'm not a neuroscientist, so I don't really fully understand the complexities of the human brain and its chemicals. So I don't know. But I believe you can build neural pathways, or you can heal neural pathways to a degree. I believe you can make choices. I don't believe it's easy for everybody. I think it's easier for some than others. I think some people are born lucky, and I think some people are not. Some people are born with headspaces and brains that are haunted houses. I have all the love and my heart breaks. But I think that, relatively speaking, you have more control than you think in how you experience a day. Not as much as I wish we had, but more than we think. The line that I say to myself and some of my friends is, you're much stronger and more resilient than you think you are, but you're not strong enough to combat what they need from you in this modern life. So find that line and hold the line.
If you could give anyone who's listening to this, these are people of all ages from all over the world, just people who are trying to live a more fulfilling life, whatever that means. One piece of advice, what would you say?
Surround yourself with amazing people. If you surround yourself with amazing people, oh my God, this experience is so much more beautiful. It's so much more beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, guess what? We actually released the full-length interview, every single second of advice, on our podcast channel, Seeds of Success. You can check out the full interview by clicking the link right over here and subscribing. Thanks again, and see you next week.